In 1979, inmates moved from the old Montana prison to the Montana State Prison, now on a 68,000-acre ranch. At the time, it had room for about 400 inmates. Today, nearly 1,600. But while inmate numbers have grown and changed, the aging infrastructure hasn't.
It has only been sort of maintenance and repairs. There haven't been any sort of new buildings, significant buildings built since then. So as you can imagine, it's a very aging housing unit.
The prison is like a tiny town. It has its own sewage, water systems. It even has some of the original clay plumbing. Old water pumps with small pipes, maintenance says small enough that it could be hard to put out a fire. Most recently, the heat went out and a sprinkler head burst.
It's sort of like any older house or older home. It's you're always maintaining something. So it's constantly a race to sort of just keep up with everyday maintenance so we can keep people as comfortable as possible.
For now, Band-Aid fixes keep the prison operating, but foundational changes take money. As with all state budgets, that starts with the legislature. Wolkin says there's an interest from lawmakers, but the Department of Corrections didn't have an infrastructure ask in the last session. That's because they're still working internally to see what that would look like. In 2020, the Department of Corrections published a strategic master planning report. I combed through it. Infrastructure is mentioned 47 times. Under site utilities, a list of needed upgrades, from fire suppression water supply, hydrants and pumps, to sanitary sewer and electrical power. I searched through the budget line by line. Those improvements would cost over $25 million. But to improve everything that's needed, including security, some reconstruction, and physical improvements, over $148 million.
We're going to need to make some decisions pretty quickly on that in terms of, are we going to keep investing in repair, or at what point do we just sort of rip the Band-Aid off and build the structures that are going to serve our population for the next 40 to 50 years in the future.
Wolkin says several housing units are beyond their life cycle and inmate numbers are increasing.
I mean, is the prison population growing, and could that affect the need for this right now?
So that's a great question. I mean, it has been, for all kinds of public policy areas, as you can imagine, the past 2 years has been, it's been really challenging to use population numbers and project out.
I sifted through the data from the Department of Corrections. Pre-pandemic numbers were high. They dropped during the pandemic. Wolkin says that's because the courts were slowing down. Now, the numbers are heading up again. Nonetheless, there's competing interests in the legislature, but Wolkin says legislators see the need.
We're hopeful that, the state is ready to make an investment so that we can modernize these buildings and really deliver the level of services that we really want to deliver.
I asked Governor Gianforte if there will be a proactive effort in the next legislature to secure funding for the infrastructure and what effort he's making to ensure it's addressed. Press Secretary Brooke Stroik said, quote, "The governor will continue to coordinate with the Department of Corrections, the Budget Office, and the Montana legislature to chart the best path forward. But it won't be until 2023 that we see how stakeholders, lawmakers, and the governor will decide to move forward with needed improvements on the 45-year-old prison." Reporting in Missoula, Margaret Pfohl, NBC Montana.